Alright, this is the tutorial on how to draw John Wick by Criner of Criner Creations. As you can see, there's nothing here that's terribly fancy. This is just stuff that I get at Walmart, except for these Prismacolors I got at Michael's. These are the only thing I would suggest that you get that's a little bit more than normal price, but they're well worth it. There's just no substitute for those, but everything else here is pretty run of the mill, except for the bond paper. I'd get something between an 80 and 90 pound. You need something heavy to retain your lead and your ink and to be able to erase well. All right, so let's get into it. So I want to start with two dynamic shapes that I was going to be committed to. One, the rather oblong face of Keannu Reeves, and then the dynamic shape of a semi-automatic handgun. Once I drew that, everything else was just going to be fill material. So I started to expand on that. And as I drew each one of these, they were about 15-minute increments. So I would take my time, draw, erase, and then rethink and come up with new ideas as I went along. And here you can see start to take a more formal look. Started to build everything on an axis. You can see there's an axis for his torso, an axis for the gun in his right hand, and an axis for the gun in his left hand, but they all cross near the center. Also, you want to make sure if you're drawing an action figure, I recommend drawing it in what the Romans call the serpentine pose. That is showing it in its most kinetic moment, where there's full of movement and power. And so that's what I wanted to try and exhibit here, with him swing around and his tie loose and his hair swing around. And then I started to expand on the tattoo on his back. This is Fortis Fortuna Aduvat. That's specific to the John Wick series. Fortune favors the bold. And then I started to include the medium of exchange, the coin that's constant throughout. And then you can see how much a difference it makes when you start inking like this. It really pops the figure out. I want to make sure I drew him also in black and white. Most of these types of figures in movies are monochromatic, so it shows a stronger view. Then just started erasing and just finishing out, working from top to bottom, working on my detail as I went, balancing anything else. And the last thing I did was just fill it out with Prismacolors. Make sure you show different faces of the gun in different colors to exhibit shadow. And then I put a little bit of the wax white pencil on here for the highlight from light on top of his suit. And that's it. This is what it looked like when I was all done. The whole thing took me just a little bit under 2 hours. So I hope this helps you come up with some ideas of what you might want to do. This is how I got there, and wish you the best.